Hey everyone, this is Mason here, and in today's video I'll be teaching you all how to do the helium whistle, which goes like... Let's go. So in today's video we'll talk about the difficulty of this sound, how difficult it is to learn the sound. We'll talk a little bit about the sound itself. Then of course I'll teach you all how to actually physically perform the sound, how to do it, and we'll discuss multiple variations of this whistle. So that, for example, if you have trouble learning one, you can learn the other. And then I'm thinking we're going to finish it off talking a little bit about the possibilities that this sound gives you, the stuff that's possible with this whistle and some of the techniques and stuff. The difficulty. The difficulty of the helium whistle, I would say, is really low. It's a very easy sound in my opinion, and on the difficulty scale of 1 to 10, it scores a solid 2 or a 3. It's an inwards whistle we're dealing with here, meaning it's a whistle that's done on an inhale, so you have to breathe air in, like that. And I want to point this out right from the start. Some inhale whistles also work on an exhale, like for example the recorder whistle works very well on an exhale. Same thing goes for like a pucker whistle, works both ways. Like a liproll whistle also goes both ways. But the helium whistle does not seem to be working the other way. The symmetry does not seem to be aligning the right way. So it's an inwards only kind of whistle. So now how do we actually do the sound? How do we physically perform it? I want to discuss two different variations of the whistle here. One, the one in the center, like how helium does the whistle, and I think this is the one that most people picture in their head. And we're also going to talk about the one on the side in a kind of liproll position. This one is a bit less common. I highly recommend you guys experiment with both of them because they're awesome. But for now, we're going to focus on the centered one, and I'm going to explain some of the key quirks of the helium whistle on the centered variation. So let's learn the centered variation. What do we need? We need 3 components for a whistle like that. We need the jaw position, the lip position, and the tongue position. Let's focus on the jaw. The jaw position for the helium whistle looks like this. So basically what we're doing here is we're taking the jaw and we're dropping it down pretty far, and then we're retracting it backwards. So that would look something like this. Drop it down and sort of retract it backwards a little bit. Be careful with your jaw. You might snap a joint here or something. You don't want to, I'm sure you don't want to do that. Drop it down within reason, use your judgment, and then retract it backwards. It's kind of funny looking. That's step 1 already completed. Step 2 would be the lip position. The lips are positioned in a kind of frown shape, like this. My lips are very dry, guys. I'm sorry about that. So this frown shape is not hard to do. I'm sure you can do it, but if you're struggling with it, here's what it kind of feels like. The corners of the mouth are a little bit tensed up and pushed down, and the centered part of the top lip and the centered part of the bottom lip are very relaxed. There is no tension there whatsoever. It's only the corners of the mouth where there's actually tension. It's not a frown like this, where you kind of retract the corners of the mouth inwards, it feels like. And it's also not a frown like this, where you engage the whole neck. And also, if you guys are familiar with lip rolls, you should know this kind of shape by heart. The positioning of the whole thing is pretty similar to that of a lip roll. So now we have the jaw and the lips, let's do the tongue. The tongue position is a little bit tricky to explain, but I promise it's not hard. You're just gonna have to experiment a little bit. So it looks kind of like this. I think the best way to describe this tongue position is it's kind of like saying the vowel as in head. So for this one, I recommend you stand in front of a mirror and look at how your tongue is shaped when you say the word head. So ideally, you should notice your tongue smooth out at the front. The tip of the tongue should be slightly retracted into the tongue, and it should be like a smooth, curvy, square kind of shape. And what you want to do now is you want to take that and put it slightly back and higher up against the roof of the mouth. Right about there. And you want to be able to position your tongue there and still be able to make the sound. There should be no changes in the sound whatsoever. When doing that, you might feel the sides of your tongue tense up a little bit and be pushing more against the sides of the top teeth. And if so, that's great. That means you're doing it right. Another way I found to explain this is, again, if you guys are familiar with lip rolls and if you know how to do this variation, the kind that D-Lo does often. The positioning of the tongue is pretty similar to that. So now if you combine the three components, the tongue, the lip, and the jaw, and breathe in, you might get the whistle. If you don't get it straight away, I recommend taking the tongue and sort of doing a hollow clap motion where you move it like this against the back of the bottom lip. In that movement, while inhaling air, you might find the whistle somewhere. Just freeze and try and pull it in. But now let's say you have trouble learning the whistle like that. Let's say you have trouble learning the whistle and you just so happen to be very familiar with lip rolls. Well, I present to you that variation. This is actually probably my favorite variation of the sound. I don't really like the centered one too much. I find that it's too much effort to get such a tiny whistle out. So let's learn that variation. If you're familiar with lip rolls, the jaw position is exactly that of a regular lip roll. Take the jaw, drop it down, move it slightly backwards and a little bit to the side. Now for the lip position, you want to have that frown, but only on this side. So like you want to feel tension here, like when doing a lip roll. Add in that tension. And now position the tongue the same way that I explained in the centered variation. From here, just try breathing in air and you should get the whistle. Again, do the little flappy thing with the tongue. And you should get the whistle. If it doesn't work like that, try stretching the gap out sideways a little bit and making it bigger. I found that like that, it's way easier to get a lot of volume out of the lip roll variation. Now here I want to clear up a little misconception that I see happening about the helium whistle. The helium whistle is not a cricket whistle. The cricket whistle is a sound that looks and sounds kind of like this. And the helium whistle is this. Now you kind of do see the similarities, like purely visually, the jaw is kind of dropped down. There seems to be tension on the lips. They're pretty symmetrical. Both the sounds are inwards and you can get the same kind of movement within the sound. The same kind of slurpy motion. But from how they feel and from how they sound, I don't think they're the same thing. Especially when you look at the jaw position. For the cricket whistle, the jaw needs to be pushed forward. Like that. And for the helium whistle, the jaw needs to be pushed down and backwards. Also, not to mention that in the cricket whistle, there's a lot of tension on the lips, and in the helium whistle, there's almost no tension on the lips. Now for practicing the sound, I don't really have a lot to say about this one. It's just like any other sound, you do it a little bit and you do what works for you, and then after some time you develop it and it becomes a usable sound. It's easy to summon. It's easy to do it out of nowhere, like it's like you're slurping down air. It's very, very easy. You can also pair it with whistles, like for example, the cricket whistle. Of course, this whistle is vocalizable. I don't know why you would want to do that. But by far, the coolest thing that you can do with the whistle, with the lip roll variation, is, of course, you can combine it with a lip roll. Like, it's very possible to evolve a sound like that into a cool signature sound. And I think that's basically it, guys. Have fun practicing the sound. This sound definitely needs some more exploring. It's a pretty uncommon sound here in beatboxing, and it allows for some really cool possibilities. Oh, also a thing I forgot to mention is you can do this. Yeah, I thought you'd want to know that. Have fun practicing the sound and happy beatboxing. I'm really lightheaded.